On our YouTube channel, we get literally thousands of comments, and we try to answer when we can, but it's hard to stay up on all those. So today I have my assistant Kelly here, who has taken some of the questions right off of the YouTube comments, and I'm going to address them here in this video. And so most of these are tied to some of the Roth videos, with a couple of exceptions. But if these are questions that some people have asked, maybe it will be a question that you have and you might benefit as well. So, Kelly, what is the first question?
If I do a Roth conversion from my IRA, am I still able to contribute additional new money to my Roth up to max based on my income level?
Yes, the answer is yes. So while there's when you make contributions into an IRA or a Roth IRA, you are limited as to how much you can put in each year. But that is not the case with Roth conversions. You can convert as much as you want. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter if you're working or anything like that. It's just a question of what are the tax consequences? What are your tax brackets? What is the smart amount to convert? If you're doing a Roth conversion or conversions in a year, it doesn't prevent you from making a contribution as well. So, okay, next question.
Are you saying that if I opened my Roth IRA when I was 30, that I can withdraw my contributions and earnings tax and penalty free at age 35?
Yeah, so this is one of those things where a Roth IRA actually has a lot of liquidity, because 100% of your contributions could be withdrawn at any time, at any age, tax and penalty free. But that does not apply to gains. So that only applies to contributions. And so if you have your money invested and it has grown, when you take a withdrawal, the first money out is always going to be contributions. So the only way you could even get to your gains would be you'd have to withdraw all of your contributions first, and then if there are any conversions, those would come out next, and then last would be the gains. So you can make contributions into a Roth IRA, and at any age, if you need to pull those contributions out, you can do so tax and penalty free. Okay, next question.
Since the Roth conversion is taxed in the year it is converted, why isn't it considered as a part of the RMD for that year?
Okay, good question. Many people wish that was the case, but it is not. So when you have required minimum distributions and you do a conversion, you're essentially taking some money out. A lot of folks would say, I'd really love for that to satisfy my RMD, but it does not. Roth conversions do not satisfy RMDs. And so when you're at the age where you have RMDs and you're doing Roth conversions, the first money out always has to be the RMD. So you don't want to attempt a Roth conversion before you have taken your RMD. So the RMD comes out, and once that's done, then you can do a Roth conversion. What's the next part? I think there's two parts to that question.
So on the 1099-R statement, the Roth conversion is shown as a normal distribution rather than a Roth conversion. Does this mean it was done wrong?
No, and this is a question that we get a lot. It kind of throws people off because they do a Roth conversion and then they get their 1099 statement and it says, normal distribution. A lot of times people panic and think, oh no, what happened? Oh, we didn't get the conversion done right. But that's just the way that it's always reported. And so how does the IRS know that normal distribution was actually a conversion? And it's when you file your taxes that year, you identify that it went into a Roth. It's always going to show normal distribution, even though it was a conversion. So let me see if there's another part of that.
Yeah. Is a Roth conversion recommended for everyone? And can you provide some examples or cases of when a Roth would not be recommended?
Yeah, so, we love tax-free and we love Roth. And I think everyone should have a Roth, generally speaking. and other tax-free strategies, or Roth 401ks, Roth TSPs, whatever the case may be. But there are times in a given year where it may not make sense to do a Roth contribution or a Roth conversion because of what's going on with your income, your taxes, and your situation. So it's all about long-term planning, tax bracket management. And so there are times where we'll say, based on this situation, you shouldn't contribute or you shouldn't do anything with a Roth this year, but possibly next year or in a couple of years. And why is that the case? It's because, there is a sweet spot where some of your money could go into a tax-deferred account. You get the tax deduction now. The money grows tax-deferred. And then if you've done some good planning, that money can come out tax-free. Only the right amount, based on being offset by deductions, the standard deduction in the lease case. And so there are times when it will make sense to contribute into a tax-deferred account over a Roth. But you gotta have the long-term view strategy to make sure when you actually get to retirement, you're in a position to where you're hopefully in a 0% tax bracket. That's the goal. And even if you're in retirement or close to retirement, with a Roth strategy, multi-year, you can get yourself into that position potentially, or certainly drastically improve the long-term cost of tax. When you leave money in a tax-deferred account for the long haul, you have compounded taxes because every time you have gains, anytime there's any interest earned, a portion of that's going to the government. And so you're compounding taxes year after year after year. And so when you get money moved into a tax-free account or Roth, yes, you're paying some tax, but now there's no compounded taxes. The growth from that point forward is all tax-free. And so hope that answered that question. Okay, what's the next?
If I have less than $500,000 in my 401k, do I need to convert that to Roth IRA? I'm thinking of using it while waiting to turn age 70 to collect Social Security.
Okay, so a question like that is very difficult to answer because there's so many variables that come into play. The answer may be yes, the answer may be no. It depends. It depends on income levels, it depends on marital status, it depends on your goals. There's a whole bunch of factors that come into play to determine if that's good or not. For some people, if let's say you're at retirement age, you have $500,000 in a tax-deferred account, whether that's a 401k or an IRA, and you're asking the question, should I convert this? The answer for some people will be yes, for sure. And for other people, it'll be, there's really no need. And it's because of, is there other income? What's using up your deductions? Do you have some rental income? Do you have some part-time income? There's other things that are going to completely change the answer. So, but the bottom line is, there is a mathematically ideal amount to have in the different types of tax environments or tax buckets. And you can, with good planning, achieve a 0% tax bracket in retirement. And why would you want to do that? It's because it provides a tremendous amount of certainty. You take tax rate risk off the table, and you pay less taxes over time. So, okay, next question.
I've heard that if one is doing a ladder conversion from a traditional to a new Roth IRA, for example, $40,000 per year for 10 years, that each conversion resets the clock since the 5 years starts over with each conversion. Another source said each conversion has its own individual 5-year clock. This is for folks over 59 and a half. I didn't hear you mention either of these situations. Which is true?
Okay, so this is a question that has to do with the 5-year clocks on when you do Roth conversions. And it's surprisingly complex, right? So the first thing I would say is we actually have a chart that kind of maps out the 5-year rules. It's a free download. If you wanted to go to financialfastlane.com, you can find the chart regarding the 5-year rules. You can download that, and it will really kind of simplify and help you understand how that works. But to answer that question, the 5-year clock does not reset every time But every conversion does have its own 5-year clock. And the key thing to know is that there's 2 different 5-year clocks. One is called the forever clock, meaning you just have to have an IRA account for at least 5 years. It has, if you had a Roth IRA and it had $1 in it, that starts the clock. And so that has to be satisfied. Even if you're over 59 and a half, if you're just getting your Roth IRA for the first time, you're going to have a 5-year clock as far as for tax-free growth. Once you have reached age 59 and a half and you've had any Roth IRA for at least 5 years, then you're past the point of the 5-year clocks. And so you can do conversions, you can access all of it tax and penalty free. Okay, next question.
For conversions after 59 and a half, do you also have to wait 5 years before withdrawing any gain amount?
Okay, yeah, I actually just answered that question. And so it's possible that you can, if you haven't had that 5-year, if you haven't had any Roth IRA, you do a conversion, you can access the converted funds and any contributions, but you would have to wait the 5 years to access gains. And it's usually not going to be a problem, because that means, if you're doing conversions and you're worried about the taxation on the gains, that means you're withdrawing all of the conversion. You're really burning through the money a lot faster than most people would ever need to. And so it doesn't really pose a big problem for most people. So you don't want to get too hung up on the 5-year rules. Yes, it can cause problems. Yes, there can be penalties. Yes, you need to make sure you don't make mistakes. But it's not a huge hurdle for most people. Okay. Next question.
When doing Roth conversions, at what level of income would my Medicare payment be affected as a single filer? My total tax rate with federal, state, and local taxes would be 29%, give or take. I have the funds to pay the taxes, but does it make sense?
So when you're doing Roth conversions, that's going to spike your income for that year, and you can trigger the Medicare surcharges, or IRMA, as it's referred to. And so you just want to be aware of that. And so to answer the question here, she says, as a single filer, when does that Medicare IRMA surcharges kick in? And that's it. If your modified adjusted gross income is $103,000 or more, is when that would kick in. So again, to really answer this question for this person, there's a lot of other details that are not known that we would need to know to really make a good decision there. But you do want to be aware, if you're doing Roth conversions, one of the potential additional taxes you could experience is in the form of a Medicare surcharge. And so there's a lot to know about how that works. And again, depending on your age and circumstances. Okay, next question.
Am I able to perform a Roth conversion after age 62 or 72? And do I need to still be working?
Yeah, no. So you can do Roth conversions at any age, at any time. You do not have to be working. And you can convert as much as you want. So that's very different from contributions, right? So in order to make a contribution into a Roth IRA, you have to have earned income, you or your spouse. So you can have a non-working spouse. The spouse can contribute as long as there's household earned income, right? But that's very different from conversions. You can convert a lot. You can convert very large amounts. You just want to be really careful, because it's the question is how much does it make sense to convert? Because there's tax consequences, right? It's a significant tax question. You're going to have some taxes to pay. And so you want to look at the tax brackets and make sure you're not triggering additional taxes over and above what would be considered reasonable. But so hopefully that answers that. And age, like I said, age is not a factor with doing Roth conversions.
Next question.
Yeah.
Apart from my 12% contribution to my 401k, I also contribute yearly max to my Roth IRA. Is there anything wrong with doing this?
Most likely there is nothing wrong with this. You can contribute into your 401k and you can contribute into a Roth IRA. The one exception to that would be based on your income level. And so you cannot contribute into Roth IRAs if your income is over certain levels. So in 2024, if you're married filing jointly and your income exceeds $230,000, you are phased out of your ability to contribute into a Roth IRA. If you're single, it's $146,000. And so if your income is over those levels, then there's a big problem because those contributions that you're making into your Roth would be considered excess contributions. And every year that those excess contributions remain in the account, you're going to have a 6% penalty. And they don't really forgive that at all. And so if you left that for a few years, it's just going to compound. So that would be a terribly wrong thing to do. So if your income is above those levels, you can still get money into a Roth IRA. We would just do it through a backdoor Roth. And that's when you contribute into a traditional tax-deferred account, but you can use after-tax dollars, and then you turn around and convert that into a Roth IRA. The end result is the same. But there's also, if you've got an existing IRA, for example, with some money in there, and then you put in after-tax dollars, and then you do a backdoor Roth, the pro rata rule comes into play. And so there's some things to understand around the backdoor Roth, but hopefully that answered that question and more. Next question.
My mom passed away a few years ago, and just recently my dad passed away. 2 years ago, my dad started doing fairly large Roth conversions from his 401k. I am now the beneficiary of my dad's Roth IRA, and I am 45 years old. I want to withdraw some of the money, but do I need to wait till the 5-year mark?
Okay, so this is a good question. So this is a guy who has inherited a Roth IRA. First thing to know is that he can keep that as an inherited Roth IRA, and he can continue to get the tax-free growth only for 10 years. But that's 10 awesome years of tax-free growth. But at the end of those 10 years, 100% of the money has to come out. He cannot keep it beyond that time. And so his question here is again tied to the 5-year rule. So since his dad just started Roth Conversions, assuming this is his, and that was his first Roth account that he had, he only had it for 2 years. Now the son inherited it. And so if the son wanted to access the gains, he would have to wait the remaining 3 years. So the 5-year clock would apply, but there are no penalties on as far as withdrawals from an inherited IRA. They want you to take the money out. You're going to be taking it out regardless of what your age is after 10 years at the maximum. Okay. So next question.
I retired at age 53 from the Army and have 40 work credits according to Social Security. Do I get zeros for the years I didn't work for calculating my full retirement benefit at 67?
Okay, so this is actually a Social Security question. Yeah, so 40 work credits, if that's all you have, that's the minimum to get any Social Security benefit. And 40 credits is equal to about 10 years of work history. And so if that's all you have, this person is not going to have any other additional working years, then all the other years are going to be zeros because they look at your 35 best years. And if you didn't work, if you didn't pay the FICA tax, you're going to show zeros. So someone who has 40 credits, their Social Security benefit is going to be considerably smaller than someone who worked longer and for more years. Yeah. Okay. And this is, I think, it's the last question.
It is. The whole retirement planning thing is a total clusterfuddle because it is complicated. After a lifetime of careful planning, strategizing, and enormous amounts of stress and missed night's sleep, that retirement nest egg can disappear in a split second. You can spend the last 25 or so years of your life in total misery and poverty.
When I saw this comment, I was a little taken back by it. What this person needs is a good plan. I mean, if you feel like your retirement nest egg can be gone in a split second, that would indicate you have a horrific plan in place, really no plan. I mean, the only way that's likely would be if you only had all of your money in one or two stocks, for example. In that case, yeah, they could disappear in a split second. But preserving assets is a significant part of a good plan. Preserving them not only from market risk, from taxes, making your money more dependable from a tax standpoint, from a legal standpoint, for liabilities, for lawsuits. There are many things that go into protecting and preserving assets. And so to have a mindset, well, this could just disappear in a split second, it just means you don't have a good plan and you're certainly not diversified. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have questions on any financial or retirement planning topics, if you wanted to ask the questions in this video below, then we could use those for a future video and address your questions in that way. Again, thank you. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Financial Fast Lane.